Crickets are delicious. My nice dirty hands. Made with cricket flour. We've got banana bread, apple cinnamon, cocoa nut, they're protein bars, and blueberry vanilla. I feel like banana bread. I wish we would have eaten the crickets at the Flying Fish when we were there.
Instead of being pansies like we are and eating just the flour.
Yeah, it's like the actual, they were like...
I bet you these don't even taste like crickets.
Smells good. Mmm. You want some? Bugs are delicious. Kind of like a date bar. Doesn't really taste like banana bread.
Does it taste like crickets? You've had crickets before, haven't you?
No, I've had worms. Fried worms, which tasted like shrimp. I don't know what crickets taste like. There is like a umami taste. It's gluten-free, no soy, grain-free, no dairy. Complete, sustainable, and delicious. We've got sunflower seeds, bananas. Oh, that's probably the nutty flavor I was tasting. Prunes. I said it tasted like dates. If you have a crustacean shellfish allergy, you may be allergic to crickets. You know why? Because crustaceans are bugs of the sea. Starting all over again, aren't we? Yep. This is the second week of working with Ozzy, and one of the issues I've kind of been working with him is every time I leave the pen and I come back, he always gets a little guarded and always wants to run away. As you can see, he kind of pushed his hind end and I'm pushed it away. And I'm able to get in to grab his halter. And once I grab his halter, he kind of is like, oh, okay, I'm caught. Now you can do what you want. So I've been going through and rubbing. And in the beginning with these wild horses, they don't appreciate the feeling of human touch, especially the older guys. So again, here, I sent him forward. And he's actually getting pretty nice and soft on the lunge. And the biggest thing and biggest mistake sometimes people make is when I go to send him forward, I make sure I don't move my feet. So, because the first one who moves their feet are the first ones who are submissive, per se. So here I'm working on picking up a foot. I have control of his face with my left hand. And he actually gave it to me pretty well. I was surprised at how soft he was about giving me his foot. And these are trusting exercises. So this is kind of the repertoire that I've been using all week. And this is, I believe, day 5 of working him and training him. And this... from this week is all in basically one day, which was over a span of, I believe, like 2 hours throughout the day. And working the right side versus the left. He's actually gotten more comfortable with me in the right side, which is interesting. And I've had to work on trying to get him to like alfalfa cubes, because once I can get him to connect me with positivity, whether that's with a treat or the rub starts to feel good, then I'll be able to move a little bit faster as far as gaining his trust. So I'm just trying to move where I can touch him. I was able to go all the way back to his flank, which is pretty good. I didn't attempt to go down the hind leg because, you know, there's just some things. So here's the beginning. I'm starting how I start to get on. This is the very, very beginning pieces. I start with just the bounce up and down, and then I'll touch them with my leg. And that really kind of is the connection, because I want my body to touch their body and them be okay with that. So I'm going back and forth. He gets a little worried there, and I just rub. He just seemed to be in a good place, so I was just taking advantage of it. And he still gets worried. Again, he's a 9-year-old wild horse. He was just captured. So I'm pretty aware that he's going to take a while to break down the walls. And here I'm testing him with showing with my hand over his back, trying to get that right eye so he sees me in both eyes. So all of this is preparation. And again, he seems to be handling it pretty well. And then going back and touching, bouncing up and down, pulling on the neck. Those are all big improvements before. So now I went back and got my helmet, which I probably should have had my helmet on before. And he gets really alert here because there's actually a person riding a horse, which he is very concerned about. So when he gets worried, I just make sure I don't feed into that. He's a pretty big and loud snorter, so I just kind of ignore him when he's not really paying attention. And so I'm going back and forth. He's still kind of distracted. So every time he does, I kind of make him yield his haunches. And again, I'm just building. So now I was able to hang on the neck a little bit more. And I'm just building those steps for when I can get a little farther over the back. And just that leaning and that pressure. He's not really worried about me. He's more so thinking about that other horse. And it's just about taking advantage of the situation right now. So I was able to kind of get on a little bit more there. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth, and hopping on, hopping off, stepping back and giving him a rub. There he actually took the steps. And that's actually really important, because if they're moving and they get used to you doing that, like I was able to go around, and he was actually handling it really well. I was really proud of him for that. And so the next step is when I start to, once I get them a little comfortable here, just laying on the withers from jumping on the side, I'll start to inch my knee. So here I'm just laying on the side. I hop back off, give him a rub, and he's just taking it in. And I go and I hop back on. He walks again. And here's where I go with the knee. So I'm kind of pushing a little bit right there. Yep. And he let me know. So I go back, hop back on, try to inch my way back over. And you get a lick and chew. I was really happy I got a lick and chew. So he is processing the things that are happening. And I just step back off, and that was a good place right there. And then I go, and then this is the moment of truth. I get my right leg on. Now you notice I'm always kind of laying on the neck in the beginning because they're very comfortable with that. It's not until you sit straight up. Sometimes that can really freak horses out, and because of what they're seeing in their eyesight. So kind of this moment of just waiting, getting on, laying over on the neck. And again, this is part of my trust building exercises with him. And there I'm able to finally sit up, which was huge. I was really happy with him. And, you know, it's been a tough one with him trying to get him on. I have alfalfa cubes and grain. So I've been working on hand feeding him a little bit. And he finally started to trust me and was able to eat in front of me. And as you can see, I was able to take off the lead.
Yay! There you go. Cube. That's a good boy.
Finally starting to eat grain. Yay.
So I'm looking for the coveted working student. Definitely needs to be someone who can drive a manual, as our muck truck is a Japanese truck and has a stick shift. Looking for someone who is detail oriented, follows directions well, is responsible, that I can depend on. I'm essentially looking for another version of me. There will be lots of riding involved. I have a pretty busy schedule coming up competition wise, and I need to make sure that the farm can stay continued running. You know, working students are imperative to our sport, and it's also vital for education. I'm willing to give someone the opportunity who wants knowledge and to increase their riding, and especially if someone doesn't have the opportunity having their own horse. Back when I was 17, I didn't have a horse. Actually, I was 16 at the time, and I was a working student for Nick Larkin back in the day. And it was great because I worked hard, but I learned a ton, and I rode a lot of horses, and it really gave me a good foundation to then start my career as a trainer on my own. So really just want to give someone the opportunity and to benefit both of us. Application process. Are we gonna have like a link somewhere?
Yeah, point somewhere.
So you need to go here and follow through with the application process. It will mean that you need to do a video of yourself. Well, let me know.
So this week with Sparks, I been just working the same old with him. He still has to be in a confined space as far as his confidence wise. So here I'm been working on getting him to understand what leg pressure is and how to move sideways. He still is really funny about pressure on his sides. So like right there, he scares himself. He's been a very tough horse as far as coming along in confidence and trusting. You know, it took a long time on the ground for him to kind of get over the fear, and I have to admit I got a little frustrated. It gets difficult when you have these problem type horses and they're just maybe not coming along as fast as you would like, and that's when you have to take a step back and reevaluate and make sure I'm listening to kind of what he's telling me. And I just know from the ground it took me a while, so I just need to stay patient and kind of keep giving him the tools that he needs for education so he can understand. And here, this was a big deal of doing the zipper. That used to really freak him out. So he is progressing in his confidence in certain things. This is another thing I've been trying to teach him, is to flex and to give to the bit. It was also a big fear-driven issue for him with me just picking my hands up like this. So the fact that he's willing to stand is a big improvement. So it's just trying to get him soft, trying to get him to bend. He still gets nervous, but at least he's learning to contain himself when he gets nervous. And then I've been teaching him to do the one rein stop, where I flex him until I want his feet to stop moving. This is very important for emergency situations. It can also help just make them a little softer. There. And he scared himself again. So I go back, asking him to soften, and then I'm just waiting for the feet to stop, and I let go. And then I'll ask him to disengage a little bit to the left. And he's still really tight at the walk. He still has a long way to go as far as coming through his back. And I think that just has to do with a lot of weakness through his back and how he's a nervous horse and how he's carried himself for so long. So it's a lot of strength issues. So we're just working on the ABCs, and he's a really nice horse, so I want to make sure I can keep getting through to him. So at the trot work, I'm working on having my leg on him, putting the pressure on to get him to move over. His frame is already getting better. He's not dropping too far behind the vertical. He is trying to stay up a little bit more in contact. So just trying to get him to change directions and really get softer through his body so I can get him to come over his back, and make the progress of connecting the dots of me being on him and working with him instead of scaring him. So I was really happy with that kind of outcome. So there I go, the outside rein to get him to turn. And again, that's important to teaching him the one rein stop for if he is to bolt. So it was a good day. He listened, and he's starting to come around. So that's the progress with Sparks.